So many people keep trying to attack me by using the people are realizing you're not a nice person anymore. They use that line as an attack or an insult. But the fact is, I never got views because people thought I was a nice person. I got views because I made weird stuff. Was that the real Daniel back then? Well, yeah. Back then, that's what I was like. But then I changed. People change as they get older.
Part 1. An introduction to hiding in my room. At first glance, there doesn't really seem to be an existential horror, but hiding in my room is a strange channel. Whenever I watch his videos, I feel like I'm transported back to 2008, when YouTube was still a fairly small video sharing website, where people approached vlogs in a more intimate way, treating their camera as a sort of diary, sharing certain details of their lives either to vent or find some support. It was a much smaller community of viewers back in those days, so there was little fear of people from the real life finding their video vlogs. Now in 2019, videos like these are rare. The most intimate that people seem to get nowadays are teenagers expressing their hate for school, or why they found themselves pregnant at young ages, or overtly exaggerated storytime videos. The vlogging style has evolved, opting on going for a more polished, well-produced look, and the focus more on high-end lifestyles rather than personalities. People who watch vloggers like Jake Paul, Tana Mojo, The Ace Family, or even Emma Chamberlain might think they know these people, but how much do they really know? This is where Hiding in My Room or Daniel breaks through that mold. And his channel is a weird return to form, with such videos that include him talking about why he finds his wife unattractive, his experience with gonorrhea, and why he still lives with his mom at the age of 30. He almost seems to expose his dark side with each video he makes by discussing his inner thoughts and feelings, which just make him look bad. Part 2. Who is Daniel? It's easy to laugh and meme him, especially when he has little care about the people that he talks about in his videos. And there are plenty of YouTubers who have ridiculed him for this. What I want to do though is examine his channel deeper, looking at the man himself, Daniel, from his earlier videos to his most recent ones. How was he able to obtain 90,000 subscribers and average around 30 to 40,000 views per video? Which isn't an easy feat, especially for a vlogger like him who has no distinguishable or clear charismatic personality. Naturally, his boost in subscribers and subsequent attention came in part from bigger YouTubers like Elvis the Alien, who talked about his outlandish channel. But what made people subscribe and stay watching? Without getting too much into a biography, Daniel is of English and Malaysian descent. His home country is England, where he lives in his family's home for part of the year, and the other part he stays in Japan or other foreign country. In his early 20s, he developed a love for Japan, which kickstarted his journey of traveling abroad and wanting to ultimately live in Japan, which he has managed to do. He created his YouTube channel in 2014, with his earliest public video being uploaded in 2015. Naturally, he has deleted or made private a feasible size of his back catalog of videos. From what I've gathered, his early videos consisted of tech reviews, coding tutorials, Japanese lessons, and the occasional video where he talked about movies or TV shows. Then the focus of his videos shifted. He began to talk about his personal experiences, and doing so proved to be a launching pad for his channel. The people who found his videos were drawn to him, and an audience formed around his channel composed of people who related with his social struggles. And what were these struggles? Part 3. How to monetize social awkwardness. One thing becomes clear if you look at Daniel's videos, which is that he likes traveling and living abroad. One of his earliest videos that became popular was the one where he talks about his experience living in South Korea. Seeing this increase in views that this video brought him, he focused on making other videos where he talked about his experiences such as growing up in the UK as a person of mixed race, teaching English in Japan, and traveling abroad, capitalizing on his unique situations to attract viewers. In these videos though, he opens up about his mental health, social anxieties, and his loneliness due to his introverted and somewhat loner tendencies.
Sat on my bed in like a fetal position and I just started crying. I just cried so much. I felt so pathetic, like I hadn't accomplished anything, I hadn't made any progress. I was at this party and I still couldn't function like a normal person in a social event, and I felt so defeated.
To add on top of this, his channel name is Hiding in My Room. His channel banner says Internet Support Group, and he's talking in his room about the difficulties of connecting and relating to the people around him. There's a certain allure to this. If you look at the comment section of these videos, you'll see many people who are either relating to his experiences of being unemployed for a long period of time due to their depression, or their own anxieties of going out to meet new people. His honesty seems to be appreciated, and there's something refreshing about it. When I was listening to him talk, it was almost like listening to my own friends talk when they're venting or ranting about their problems to me. You can really get a feel for the person that Daniel was in 2016 with the video I Tried Meetup and Hated It, in which he talks about one of his housemates who would go out of his way to talk to him, and they would eat together and have conversations. You can see the way that he sort of lights up when he's remembering this. And then he laments the fact that he moved out and only visited the house 2 times after. Wanting to fill up that void, he tries using the app Meetup to find a group of friends. He manages to find a small meetup event close to him, which was happening at a bar. On the day of, he goes to the bar and sees the group of guys he was going to meet, but then realizes that the loud bar isn't the perfect setting to get to know them, and his social anxiety gets the best of him and he leaves. He decides to go to a karaoke bar, which is something he has never done by himself before. He had always gone with a group of people. He then expresses how much fun he had doing it by himself and that he was proud that he had finally accomplished such a feat. If I were talking about a movie or a TV show, I would mention how this video foreshadowed the person that Daniel would show himself to be 2 years later. Someone who has expressed little interest in having friends and instead enjoys doing most things by himself. It's also a bit bittersweet, since his pride at having the confidence of doing something in an unfamiliar situation like going to karaoke by himself is something that we will not really see again, opting to stay in his home playing online games instead of improving his social skills. There's an obvious sharp contrast between the way that Daniel was back then and the way he portrays himself now. There wasn't a clear-cut transition. There were instances before of him indirectly showing how selfish and unaware he could be, but as he became more confident in front of the camera, he began to indulge more about his personal life and thoughts. His videos became less about social anxiety, depression, and traveling, and more about the women he dates, his bad Tinder dates, and complaining about things he doesn't like, which turns out are a lot of things. This transformation, per se, will lead to those fans who had become attracted at the idea of a quiet, timid Daniel to now feel alienated. Part 4. Adventures of a Man-Child. So, as he becomes more transparent, Daniel shows that he isn't merely a depressed, lonely person, but that there is also a dark side to him. At first, it might appear as if he were the very definition of an incel, since he's expressed his frustration with women who have turned him down either to date or for casual fun. What kept him from incelhood though is that once he moved to Japan from the UK, his luck with online dating increased, and with a hint of desperation due to his addiction to what he calls cereal, he began to score women. It's very peculiar listening to someone with social anxieties talking about dating women much older or more mature than him, and he even got memed when he made a video discussing how hard it was to be a parent after dating a single mother for like a week. There isn't anything wrong with dating these type of women, but it's with the bulk of these dating videos that Daniel truly shows how childish and inconsiderate he can be, and what has led many of his viewers to dislike him. In his video, Why I Hate Having Chlamydia, he recounts a period of his life where he had chlamydia and delves into the story of how he got it.
She started touching my legs, and then I started touching her back, and then I think you know what happened next. We had unprotected sex. And at around the same time, my girlfriend was also experiencing these pains around her bladder area, around her lower stomach area.
It was so bad that it warranted going to a doctor who told her she had chlamydia and gave her antibiotics and told her to abstain from having cereal. They didn't listen to the doctor because why would they, and kept having cereal, and naturally he keeps reinfecting her until he realizes that hey, he also has chlamydia. The thing with Daniel is if you keep watching his content long enough, you'll see that he's sometimes inconsistent with what he says. A lot of people relish on calling him out on this, and this video is no exception, especially because he contradicts himself within the video. As the video ends, he talks about how his girlfriend told him that she had slept with someone she met at a club before she started dating Daniel. Daniel then concludes that the guy infected them with the STD and calls him an idiot for not wearing a condom.
4 weeks before we started our relationship, she actually had a one-night stand with this guy she met at a nightclub, and I'm guessing that's where it came from. That idiot who didn't use the condom, he gave us chlamydia. It's just so difficult to use condoms when you're living with your girlfriend.
The mental gymnastics that he had to go through to blame someone else is astounding. The biggest irony though is that he himself doesn't like wearing protection because he says that it doesn't feel the same, which is disturbing because it shows a clear disregard for his and his partner's health. Imagine the irresponsibility of putting yourself at risk or someone else just for a couple moments of pleasure and then sharing that onto the internet. Part 5. Marriage, Divorce, and the Turkish Girl. Eventually, Daniel got married, and much to the enjoyment of his audience, he continued to vlog his life, expressing his dissatisfaction with several of his wife's characteristics. You know, private stuff that should remain private. After a year of their rocky marriage and a couple of domestic disagreements here and there, one of them even ended up with him running away from their apartment.
She said she watched my live stream where I talked a load of shit about her. And she said she was really hurt by the things I said. I didn't really know what to say because I've already tried explaining the whole deal with my YouTube thing. And then we just sat there in silence for about an hour. I didn't know what to do, I didn't know what to say. I guess what I should have said was, I'm sorry. Then I decided to get up. I packed my tiny bag, I packed my Wi-Fi, my phone, and then I took my hat and I said I'm going to go for a walk. And here I am. I don't know what to do. I feel like it's going to be very hard to go back to how things were before today.
They finally separated. Whether their efforts to get a divorce were real or fake is still something that people are debating. But regardless, Daniel went back to live in his family home with his mother. If you watch Daniel semi-regularly, you start to see a trend, which is that when he's home in England, he's not doing much at home, and the focus of his videos became on how his mother babies him and how his uncles would come over and do the yard work for him. His content tends to stagnate. During these periods, Daniel truly showed how lazy he could be, even buying himself a love dot to save money on cereal. Faced with low views, he could either stay home or run away to another country where he could produce more interesting content and have no responsibilities, since this is where a couple of girls who were interested in him lived. The first girl, whom he called the German girl, bailed on him, which made him upset since she had been in his hotel room and prematurely left. But no worries, there was still the Turkish girl. He lets us know that she's in the hotel room with him by showing us a messy bed and her bra discarded to the side.
She's here.
What a true gentleman. The rest of the vlog continues with him exploring Germany with the Turkish girl, and for the most part it seemed like they had a nice time. But paradise was quickly lost when Daniel expressed his true feelings on Discord. This was quickly shown to the Turkish girl, who, even though had planned to keep certain details about the trip to herself, decided to go on Reddit to set the record straight. Her account of events quickly revealed Daniel's apparent lack of compassion. Well, at first I did not think he was going to use me and finding me annoying. I thought maybe he was just not good at it. Then I heard in the live stream that he purposely avoided that word because he did not like me, and we did not do it after. And after I bled, we agreed to stop, but it was so sad that he did not even realize that I was crying the whole time. I just want to forget it now. Thank you for your support and good wishes. Yes, we cuddled the first times, but then he started to ignore me completely. Even the last morning, he acted like he was sleeping. I knew he wasn't. The Turkish girl described how during their serial, she not only started to cry, but Daniel made her bleed, which caused him to stop. This revealed further insight into the person that Daniel is. When he's getting intimate with her, he only cares about his own pleasure. There's no foreplay or real intimacy, it's just straight to the point. He then proceeded to ignore her during the few remaining days that they had together. Take in mind that they were in a small hotel room together for 3 days. For better or for worse, Daniel is someone who knows what he wants. Once she served her purpose and he no longer found her attractive, he ignored her completely. He could have been civil with her, but this isn't who Daniel is. He opted to retreat to Rainbow Six and be rude to someone he no longer found attractive. He isn't awkward or timid, he's just a jerk. This was the incident that proved to be the most troublesome for Daniel, as people began to unsubscribe and he suffered his most massive sub loss, which made him hide his subscriber count for a while. In his attempt to save face, he would tell his side of the story. First, it was that the lights were off and he couldn't see her crying, and then it was that he had seen her crying but she didn't tell him to stop. His story more or less kept changing. He even went on Twitter and tweeted this out. I'm sad. Everyone's against me. No one cares about my perspective. I'm always wrong. My Surface Pro didn't come today. I wish everyone agreed with me and liked me. A user replied to him telling Daniel that he was 100% wrong in this situation, which he replied, I didn't like her, so what she thought of me didn't matter. Why would I care about impressing her? He again replies telling him that he should have been kind to her, to which he responds, I can't be kind 3 days in a row to someone I'm not interested in, especially when we're stuck together all day long. I tried, but I just couldn't. I need my alone time and 3 days was too long. He essentially tried to make himself out to be the victim of the situation. People naturally caught on to what he was trying to do. Then he doubled down and made a video about the ways that he was a horrible person. But people had already seen him talking about worse things, which he doesn't talk about in this video, so it felt very surface level at best. Meanwhile, the Turkish girl had become worried about the video being discovered by her friends and family, and Reddit users told her that she could file a privacy complaint which would remove the video. She opted to do this since she had no other way to communicate with Daniel, who had blocked her on Instagram. Of course, YouTube gives the uploader of the video two choices, either remove the video or blur out the face of the person who made that complaint. And what do you think Daniel did? Even though the issue for him was an annoying inconvenience, the video itself was getting views, close to 50,000, the likes of which he hadn't seen since his divorce video a couple of months back. He decided to blur out her face, but being the lazy person that he is, he used the automatic face blur feature on the YouTube editor, which blurred out everyone's faces, including his own. This tool isn't perfect though, and you can still see her face clearly at certain angles, frames, and reflections. At the end of the day, he isn't going to remove the video because he isn't willing to lose that ad revenue. Oh, and about his wife and his divorce, he decided to go back to his wife in Japan because he realized that finding another woman was becoming too much of a task for him to take on. And being with his wife was just easier. Part 6. Existential Crisis. What's real? In some ways, Daniel personifies the image that a lot of older people have in regards to what a millennial is. He lacks work ethic and he's lazy and self-absorbed. His source of income relies heavily on making poorly edited vlogs. He doesn't want to improve himself, whether it be career-wise or education or even working out. When I first thought about making this video, I didn't know how to approach the subject. Should I talk about the evolution of Daniel as a person throughout the years, or the reason why people watch his content? But then I realized that there was a correlation between these two ideas. Why were people watching him in the first place? If you look at his most popular videos on his channel in terms of views, you'll see that the majority of them are him talking about the personal drama of his life. It's like a reality show without the glamour or the frills. This is a real person going through real problems, but sometimes he doesn't have any problems. As a lot of people have dubbed him, he's the most interesting, boring person in the world. His days consist of playing video games, watching YouTube, or making his own YouTube videos. One of the main discussions in a subreddit dedicated entirely to his channel is whether Daniel's videos are real or just merely scripted by him. Which is something that someone would naturally ask, since Daniel does certain things like making videos talking about his dissatisfaction with his wife, knowing full well that his wife watches his channel. This was something that I kept going back and forth on, but the more I looked at Daniel's past videos, those public and private, and his live streams, something became evidently clear, which is that Daniel isn't as clueless nor lacking self-awareness when it comes to his channel. A list of his deleted videos reveal he's utilized clickbait titles before, titling his videos How I Made Flappy Bird on Xcode and How to Create a Manga Webcomic. But in these videos he only talks about his progress making Flappy Bird by watching other videos on this, and about a website where you can upload your already made comic too. In his second channel he uploads ASMR mukbangs and reactionary style exposed videos. This is why I don't believe that he's simply a film student or something who's created an ARG. He's been creating these types of videos for years now, and there are times where the supposed storyline within the videos grows stale and there's no endgame in sight. He also reads the comments left on his video, so he knows that his audience is interested in watching the drama of his life unfold. His content is very much a reaction to keep his audience watching in the face of dwindling numbers. This is how the relationship between Daniel and his viewers appears to be very symbiotic. There's a portion of his audience that watches videos merely to go through them with a fine-tooth comb, looking out for inconsistencies or outright lies that Daniel might be saying in his vlogs, or examples of him being selfish or a jerk, his history of possible tax evasion, and sometimes even doxing him, which they either share on the comment sections of the videos or the Hiding in My Room subreddit that was created by these viewers as a way to report on stuff like this and to have a central hub where people can find the videos that have been deleted by Daniel. I have no doubt in my mind that these videos are real to some extent. Daniel, having found himself with no real friends, treated his vlogs like an outlet for his pent-up frustrations, becoming more intimate with what he talked about. It was evident that these types of videos were generating him views. He even tried to branch out his content in his main channel by talking about video games and even animating his stories, but those didn't do so well. He knows that by saying controversial things, it will get a reaction out of people, which in turn means more attention to his channel. He then addresses the negative attention in a video, repeating the cycle. This is where part of the existential horror comes in, because us as viewers are in some ways responsible for the Daniel that we see today. We might laugh at him and dread the things that he does, but he does these things because we keep on watching him. He's become a TV show, as people have called the different parts of his life arcs, and when Daniel found his wife's profile on Cupid Japan, people were calling it the top worst betrayals in anime history. Of course these are all jokes, but there's a layer of truth to them. People are waiting to see what Daniel has in store for us next. Do you see the catch-22? But life isn't like a TV show where there's an ending. Even if the views dwindle down, Daniel will most likely continue making vlogs for the ad revenue. He even stretches out his videos for the 10-minute mark by doing cooking segments. In one of his latest live streams, he said some very interesting things. One of the things he says is that he is negative because it generates him views. That his videos from previous years where he's projecting a different personality were because he thought that's what people wanted to see. He says that to some extent he regrets making the depression video and the friendless video because it attracted the wrong fan base. It attracted fans who leave paragraphs of advice and those like the Turkish girl who feel that they can help him. Unfortunately, he doesn't want to be helped. He doesn't see anything wrong with himself. He's not the same person he used to be because you see, he ultimately changed and almost intentionally became a product of his channel. After all, if you spew negative opinions and rants all the time, it's bound to change you. Sure, a large sum of people can stop watching his videos, but Daniel will continue to exist, doing his only apparent interests in life, playing video games, traveling, and having relations with women. There's something sad about this, but at the same time something empowering. He lives his life how he sees fit and on his own terms, and there's a very alluring sentiment to this. He's probably one of the most honest people on the platform, for better or for worse. And despite what his critics and haters may say about his lifestyle and personality, Daniel will go on creating content and living his lifestyle, which he has every right to do regardless of how much of a selfish jerk he is and how often he seems to tread on morally gray areas. With that in mind, I'm going to end the video before I make it any more longer than it has to be. Again, this isn't really what I do on this channel, but I found the topic to be interesting enough, and if you stumbled across this video, I hope that you like it, and if you did like it, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe. It's much appreciated. I'll see you all next time.
I want everyone to do badly, so I feel better about my own situation. My favourite YouTube channels are the ones that die. Then I can laugh at them. Does he care about his fans? Of course I do. I write down your names on my notebook, and I think about all of you before I go to sleep. I have a screenshot of all of your YouTube profile pictures on my phone in a folder called My Lovely Fans. And I kiss it. I kiss the screen. Good night before I go to sleep. And I say good night, my fans. I love you. When my fans send me photos on Instagram, I save them into a folder with their own name. One's called Abigail, Stacy, Natalie, Stacy, Natalie. I kiss them all one by one before I go to bed every day.